Chapter 6. Satan's assault against the promised seed. From the moment the Lord declared that the seed of the woman would bruise the serpent's head, the conflict on earth took a more definite form. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Genesis 3, verse 15. The adversary who had deceived our first parents understood that this promise pointed forward to a Redeemer, and he set himself to hinder the work of salvation by leading men into unbelief, corruption, and open rebellion. If he could plunge the world into such darkness that truth would be forgotten and faith extinguished, he would, so far as possible, obscure the path by which the promised deliverer would be recognized and received. In the generations before the flood, wickedness increased until the earth was filled with violence, and the thoughts of the heart were bent toward evil continually. Every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6, verse 5. The enemy labored to spread sin until the knowledge of God would be almost wholly lost, and the human family brought under the control of rebellion. Yet God did not leave himself without witness. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, and through him, God preserved a line of faithfulness amid a world that had chosen corruption. The flood stood as judgment upon persistent transgression and as mercy in the preservation of a people through whom the knowledge of the true God would not perish from the earth. When the waters had passed and the earth began anew, the same purpose returned under new forms. The adversary sought to crush hope and weaken confidence in God's promises by bringing the chosen people under bondage. In Egypt, the seed of faith was pressed beneath oppression, and a decree went forth against the Hebrew children. Here again appeared the same principle that had marked the controversy from the beginning. The effort to destroy faith, silence the testimony of truth, and discourage those through whom God was working. But the Lord overruled. Moses was preserved, and the one whom a king sought to destroy became a deliverer, foreshadowing in type the greater deliverer yet to come. Through succeeding centuries, the people of God were tempted into idolatry and apostasy. Sin was made to appear harmless. Alliance with surrounding nations was urged as wisdom. False worship was presented as culture and peace. Thus, minds were turned from obedience to the divine law, and when Israel yielded, the result was spiritual decline and bitter calamity. Yet when they repented, God raised up judges, prophets, and faithful leaders to call the people back to truth. The enemy sought to blot out the testimony, but God preserved a remnant. The lamp of faith flickered, yet it was not extinguished, and the purpose of God did not fail. When at last the Messiah was born, the hatred of Satan did not sleep. If possible, he would destroy the child before his mission could begin. Herod was troubled by the report of a rival king, and violence was loosed upon Bethlehem. Yet God again interposed. Joseph was warned, and the child was preserved. The same providence that guarded the promise through earlier ages guarded it still, and the Redeemer lived to fulfill his work. Again and again, the enemy's designs were counterworked by divine power. The forms of attack changed: corruption, bondage, false worship, and violence, but the purpose remained the same: to turn hearts from God and hinder the salvation of mankind. Yet through all, the promise spoken in Eden stood firm. The seed would come, and the controversy would move forward to its appointed issue.